Hi guys, Andy Lehman from freedomskillsacademy.com. Again, just want to talk to you today from taking a chapter from the Life Bible. This is a physical book which we're giving away for free. You can get your own copy over the website, freedomskillsacademy.com/the Life Bible. So just to recap, if you're not aware, we have a website called Freedom Skills Academy. We are trying to teach people how to have more freedom, and that basically is a combination of being able to earn more money by doing less, getting paid more for your efforts, or becoming more sort of home-based remote working. We want you to have more freedom. We don't want you to be chained to the 9 to 5. We don't want you to be chained to somebody else's job, basically working all the hours to earn them more money when you could work it for yourself. You could even do less. So we talk about lots of different things about trying to give you more freedom and more money. You don't necessarily need to have more money as well. You can have more freedom and even have less money, but you can do more. You can earn more for doing less. So there's lots of different ways of looking at it, and there's lots of things that we'd like to talk about now. So in the Life Bible, this is How to Succeed When the Odds Are Stacked Against You. This is a book that I wrote. I talk about there being a cost to going to work. Now, this is something which I think lots of people, they know, but they don't know. You know, they understand it, but they don't deeply understand it. They haven't taken it in. And that is that when they go to work and they're earning X amount per month, and then they suddenly get disillusioned with that job, or they want to move on to something else, what they're earning now becomes their benchmark for the next job. Obviously, you know, they say that if I'm going to go to such a place, I need to be earning at least this, or I need to be earning a bit more, because they're basing their life on that job itself, which is great if you are going to another job where you have to travel to and from the place, or you have to be there in the factory, in the shop, in the office, in the workshop, whatever it is that the job is. If you have to be there, then the chances are it's going to cost pretty much the same. You see, if you work from home though, you don't need to have the same amount. Now, some people think they do, and they don't realise actually how much they could be saving by working from home. So this is the thing that I want to talk about today, the cost of going to work. Now, for example, I'll give you a quick example, and that is I now work from home, and so I am making my own sort of cups of tea, my own drinks. Everything is, I'm buying the tea bags and everything. I'm doing it from home here. Where I used to work previously, there was a drinks machine. Now, a lot of the lads in the workshop used to use the drinks machine. Now, I did exactly the same thing as I'm doing there. I took a handful of tea bags in the morning with my cup, and I would boil the kettle, because there was access to the kettle, there was access to free water. And so I always make myself drinks. I would make myself a big old bucket like this of black tea, and because of drinking black tea, because I've stopped having sugar and I stopped having milk, I don't need it so strong, and so I can get actually 3 cups of tea out of a tea bag. At this point, I think I was getting 2, and so I calculated once that by being at work, I was turning an £11 bag of tea bags. I don't know what that is in dollars, probably $15 maybe. But I turned that £11 bag of tea bags into drinks, which, had I bought them from the drinks machine, would have cost me about £340. Okay, so all those lads in the workshop were going to the drinks machine, putting in the 20 pence, 25 pence, 30 pence, whatever the drinks were. They were putting the money in, and they would regularly meet around the drinks machine. They were spending the equivalent of a week's wage on drinks. Doesn't sound like a lot over the year, but it's a week. I mean, wouldn't you prefer to have an extra week's holiday than spending a week's wage on drinks in the factory? So what they were doing, they were probably drinking far more than what I was drinking. This big old bucket here takes the equivalent of 2 cups. And at 20p, it's like 40p in this cup. Very nice. And so they were basically drinking more than often what I was doing. And then obviously the sandwich van would come at dinner, and then there was the coffee van would come, which did in the afternoon just one-off coffees. So these people were spending their money on food and drink at work. You've got to go to work, so obviously If you don't like the job, you want to have something that's kind of pleasurable. So you can understand why people, buy drinks or buy the coffee when it comes, buy sandwiches from the sandwich shop, sandwich van. But at the same time, every time you're spending money, you are spending the money that you have, and then you need to replace it. And by replacing it, you have to stay in the job that you are doing. So the actual food and drink of going to work is a cost of going to work. I work from home, so basically all I'm eating and drinking now is the stuff that we buy into the house anyway. I eat once a day, really. I'm a one meal a day. I don't eat a huge amount these days, or I do when I sit down and have a meal, but I don't have breakfast and lunch and tea like we used to, and I don't have many snacks. So basically I eat what I eat is out the weekly shop. Beforehand, I used to take food up with me, so that was still coming out the weekly shop. But I say there's people who buy food, but where we worked, I had to drive there. So I had to drive there, which would mean that we didn't have one at the time, but there's been periods where we've had two cars. So we had a car for going to work, and we had a car for the good lady to do what she needs to do and all the other stuff. So we had two cars. Going to work meant I had to pay for fuel, and then as well as having the two cars, there's the two insurances, and again, that's more expensive going to work. So in this, in the book, The Life Bible, I did an example of somebody going to work. Now, I live not too far away from a city called Lincoln, which is, I think, it's about 18 miles away at the most, probably 16 miles. And so I came up with I kind of worked out the average cost of somebody, because I know people who live here and they drive to Lincoln. So they drive to Lincoln and there and back. And when they're there, they actually buy food. So I figured out that the 1 month cost that for basically working in Lincoln, they was going to be, the food cost would be around £100. Their coffee bill was about £52. Travel was £150. Parking was around £110. So that was a total cost of £412 a month spent going to work. So basically, if they were to find a job where they could work from home, where they didn't need to travel, they didn't need to spend money on food and drink, then they already need to earn at least £412 less a month. Now, that's not saying that they should earn less. It just means that they have a better option. They've got a better chance of finding another job that they may enjoy working from home, and they don't need to stick to that rigid, I need to make this amount of money each month, because you don't need that. Also, I figured out that as well, because of the way the income tax works and how much money you lose, that let's quickly have a quick look at this. I also did a bit of downsizing. I figured out that because if you work from home like I do, if you work online, I mentioned in a previous video that I'm going to be going over to Portugal for a few months. We're going to go over to Ireland. I also found a place to live in in Spain. And it was a small apartment, and in the euro cost, it was roughly £216 a month to rent. Now, my mortgage and costs are around £470, I think it is. So £470, I could have, because where I was working at the time, I had to basically be here. So if I wanted to, now that I work from home, and which is what we're going to do, move to Ireland, we can downsize, so I can actually reduce my living costs by going to another place which is cheaper. And I found this villa in Spain, which was a 2-bed villa with access to a communal pool, only 20 minutes drive away from the coast. It was €275 at the time of writing, which is £216. So that was a saving on. Yeah, this was a saving on £483 a month on rent, because I compared it to a flat I used to live in when I worked down south. A few years ago, I used to live down near Farnham, down near Aldershot, and I used to live in a small village called Bagshot Lee, and we were paying just under £700 for a 1-bedroom flat. And so this was a 2-bed villa in Spain with a communal pool and a 20-minute drive from the coast, and that was £483 cheaper than a typical one-bedroom flat in parts of the UK. Because working from home meant that I can move to anywhere now, because what I'm doing is working remotely on the internet. I'm working for certain companies, I'm writing, I'm connecting to email, autoresponders, everything is online, it's server-based, it's cloud-based. I can access things from anywhere in the world. That means I can move to somewhere which is a lot cheaper. So already if I go to this place in Spain and decided to rent that at £216 a month, then my rental cost compared to that £700 flat is £483 better off. Then if you go to somewhere like Spain, I don't know about Portugal or other places, but I'm just obviously using these as an example, and that is that over here in the UK, we have a council tax, which I think is around £100 or just over £100 a month for me in this area. For others it's a lot more. In parts of Spain they have the equivalent, which can be less than like €10 for the whole year. Again, it depends on what property you're living in, where you are. Some places they pay about £100 for the whole year. Okay, so already you're reducing your cost of living. So because where we were working in that factory, we had to be in this area, we had this property, so we had the mortgage, we had the rent, there's the insurance cost, we had the vehicle cost, and then there was the food and drink cost if other people wanted to take their food, if they bought their food away. So I came to a grand total of working this out. So this is working out a fictitious person travelling to and from Lincoln from this town here in Gainsborough. So driving to and from Lincoln, if they did what most people did, which included a car, the insurance, it included food and drink, parking, and all that kind of stuff. Basically, using the example of the villa in Spain, comparing it to sort of rents, I had reduced my my need to earn number by an incredible £1,018. Okay, so obviously everybody's different, and that was an example based on certain things, like I say, someone travelling to Lincoln and then living in the paying for a rented accommodation like I was paying down south, which was £700 a month. So I managed to reduce the need to earn income by £1,018. So that also included like the food, or probably even takeaway food in there, because obviously when you go to work, if you're doing an 8-hour shift or even a 12-hour shift and you get back, you're tired, you're knackered, you need some food, you need to have a shower, you need to do other stuff as well. A lot of the time people buy takeaway food is for the convenience, because it's easy to grab. So they go and grab something, they order some food, have it delivered. While they're in the shower, they can have a quick shower while it's been cooked, delivered by the takeaway people, and it's delivered to your door. No pots to wash. So a lot of the convenience food is because of people going to work. So that's an added expense, because if you are actually spending more money on takeaway food purely because of time and being tired because of your job, then it is a cost associated to going to work. So there is a cost associated with going to work and basically having a job. And this is something I don't think a lot of people actually really think about. You can have a job where you earn money, but you don't necessarily need to have the same amount of money you have now, because it's actually the job that is making you spend more money. Okay, so if you have a job out of town, which has resulted in you having 2 cars, and you've got 2 cars, you've got an extra car cost because of the job. So you need the job to live, but you need that car to have the job. So that means that so much of your wages has already been tied up in the car itself. And it's the same with food. Time is also another cost. So if you decide to go to work and you don't actually buy food while you're there, if you don't stop off at Subway, if you don't buy sandwich from the deli, or if you don't have the van coming round, if you take your own food, then obviously you've got to create your own pack up. So you've got to take your own food. That's another half an hour to an hour each day out of your day spent on work. So there's another cost there. Working from home, I don't have that problem. So there is a lot of costs of going to work. So I want people to sort of stop and think about this when they're considering getting other jobs. It's all well and good thinking that you need to earn this amount of money, But that's not necessarily true. It depends on what the job is. If you are going to stay in the same town and you need, or it's up the road and you need to travel, and you don't want to move to a place that's closer or cheaper, there are obviously lots of decisions that you can make or that you do make based on preferences. But the fact is, please realise that there is a cost to going to work, and that sometimes can blind a person into realising that they can actually take a job with less pay because of the benefits of taking that job. So you may, let's say that you earn £2,000, $2,000 a month. I don't know what the wage is really in America, the average wage, but so let's say you're earning $2,000, £2,000 a month doing what you're doing. But let's say that you start working remotely, you start working as a writer, or you start working as a content creator, maybe social media, or you start doing something else for somebody online. Or let's say you work for yourself online. Let's say that you set up through a website, and then that it's a job that you do online. It doesn't have to be location dependent, so you don't have to be serving the community. You're not serving local businesses. You can serve businesses from all around the world. So with that in mind then, if you're working from home, you don't need the second car. If you have the one car, you won't be using it, so you won't be driving, you won't be using you won't be using fuel, which is kind of a bonus at the moment, because here in the UK we're having driver shortages, which is stopping petrol getting to certain garages, so there's a bit of a fuel crisis going on, which a lot of people are still adamant has nothing to do with Brexit, but it's kind of interesting that lots of European drivers have gone back to Europe, they're not coming back here. Suddenly we have a driver shortage and a fuel shortage. Make of it what you will, but it seems too obvious to be, but still, there you go. So if you work from home, you don't have to worry about fuel shortages, you don't have to spend money on fuel going to somewhere because you're here. But if you're working from home and you're working online, you don't necessarily need to have the same property. Now, if you love the house that you're living in and you want to stay, that's fine. Then if you've got a mortgage to pay, you've got a certain amount of rent to earn, then that's fine. But you could move to somewhere else which is either cheaper or you get more for your money. So in that respect, you either get a better lifestyle or you get a cheaper lifestyle, or possibly even both. So if you're working from home, you don't necessarily need to have the same amount of money to cover the rent. Now, obviously, if you did decide that you could move to, say, somewhere like Spain, or I looked at Thailand, some incredible places in Thailand which are a fraction of the price of property here in the UK. So let's say you moved to Thailand and you had yourself a nice place that was half the price of being here in the UK. Not only are you living a cheaper life, but you're probably living a better life because you've got a bit more sunshine, better weather, cheaper food. Everything's going to have a knock-on effect. So if you were earning the £2,000 before you left and earning the $2,000 when you left, then that's even better because you've got more money and a better lifestyle. But even if you did go to Thailand or Spain and you was actually earning $1,500 as opposed to the $2,000, you're probably still in a better lifestyle because you've got more sunshine, you've probably got a bigger property, you've got closer to the beach, you can do a lot more, you've probably got cheaper food, and you're still basically paying out less than what you were before in the UK, but you're still, even though you're £500 down, you're not actually having a worse life. Okay, now this is, again, it's something that I don't know if people really think about. Lots of people believe that they have to swap the job to get the same wage, and they must have the same wage. The only thing that's determining how much money you need is what your circumstances are, and you can change your circumstances as much as you can change your job. Not saying it's easy, definitely not saying it's easy, because you could be tied into a job, or you probably need that job to escape your circumstances. I've talked about certain things like that in the book, The Life Bible. You can get a free copy from the website, as I've said many times. But you can change your circumstances, and you can change your circumstances at the same time you change your job. There's no reason why you cannot go for a specific job. There might be a job that you like the look of, and then you think, well, it's $1,500 a month as opposed to $2,000. I can't really take it. I'll be £500 down. But you probably see that first, and then don't consider the other factors, which are, like I say, if it's a job where you work from home, then you haven't got travel costs and you don't necessarily have the same food and drink costs. You don't have car costs. If maybe you can relocate, you can get somewhere cheaper, or if you end up with somewhere that's in walking distance, then you can probably pay more for the actual property, for the rent, for the mortgage, but you're still saving money on, say, food and drink, because if you're only like 5 minutes down the road, you could actually walk home and eat at home. You still save you a lot of time, you don't need the car. There are lots of other factors to take into consideration. So if you are looking for a job that gives you more freedom, and you're looking for a new job just in general, you don't necessarily need to have the same wage. You do if you're staying in the same situation, if you're staying in the same place, and it's basically replacing one job for a similar job, similar setup. If it's going to be working in a factory up the road as just a different factory, but doing the same thing for the same hours, doing the same old job, same setup, everything's the same, driving there, coffee from the coffee machine, coffee van, sandwich from the sandwich van. If you're going to do that, then basically you do need to swap the same wage for the same wage. But if the job, or if you see a job that you would like, that basically is a completely different type of job, then you could actually take a pay cut to start with. Now, I'm not saying that you should. If you can take a pay rise, or if you can get the job at the same rate, even better. That's, by all means go for it. Obviously, the whole point here of the Freedom Skills Academy is that you learn how to earn more by doing less. So if you can get a job where you reduce your 40-hour week down to 20 hours and you're still earning the same pay or even twice as much, then that's brilliant. That's bob on. That's everything that you want, or everything you work towards. Because for us here at Freedom Skills Academy, the whole purpose, the whole idea is that you should have more freedom to enjoy life, to enjoy your time with your friends, your family. We don't want you trapped in a 9-to-5, spending all your time working for somebody else, earning somebody else some money. It's all about you. This is what your life is about. Being alive is a gift. Being human is a blessing. We're supposed to enjoy this life in this Garden of Eden, and yet we spend our time trapped in these factories and these shops and these places, working for money, working a 9-to-5, barely scraping enough to exist. So the whole purpose of this video, of the idea, this book and everything, the Freedom Skills Academy website, is to try and get you to understand that there is different ways. And so if that means that you can take a different job and it's a less pay, but you get a better lifestyle, then it's still doable. It's still not a bad thing. You don't need to earn as much money as you think you do if you're changing your circumstances. It's just that we automatically all seem to look at, I want a new job, there's a new job going there, it's £200 less a month, or it's $500 a month less, I'll be in a worse position. It's like, well, not necessarily, because you are going to be relocating, so you might find somewhere that's cheaper to live. It's a job that you can do from home, so there'll be less travel, you don't need to buy food. You could actually earn more and have a better life. And then, if you so wish, if you are earning more and you have more, if you're earning less but you have more spare time, and you want to do something with that spare time, then you can look at doing things like email marketing or something else like that. So I hope this video, has been enlightening and helped you sort of see things slightly differently. So I'm going to bring it to an end now and just say, pop off to thefreedomskillsacademy.com, have a look through the website, get yourself a copy of the Life Bible. We're giving it away for free, and I hope this video has helped you in some way, and I hopefully speak to you again in the next video. Thanks very much. Goodbye.